Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this presentation about UI modernization. Let's go. So today we'll be talking about modernizing UIs. As you know, there are plenty PB applications out there that have been around for a while, and some of them could really use a good refresh. But the problem is sometimes the budget available for such a modernization might be restricted. So you might be concerned by a project that would change too many objects with a workload that is too important and that would consume too much time and money. So this presentation will be focusing on this concern, and we will see in particular several examples that on one hand do not require important effort, but on the other hand, that will bring significant improvement to the user experience and to the UI itself. So first of all, I will summarize each type of changes that we will demonstrate today. And in the second phase, Brad, that is with us today, will show you the actual changes with a PowerBuilder application using the PBIDE, the PowerBuilder feature, and a library called the Ultimate Suite. Okay, let's go. First of all, we'll see how to leverage the UI theme, which is a very important feature brought by recent versions of PowerBuilder. So as you may know, the PB theme would let you modernize the aspect of all existing controls. You don't have to write code. It's basically more of a setting. You choose between several built-in themes and you get an instant effect. You can apply a different theme for each instance of a particular object if you like. You can also customize the themes to follow some corporate standard. It's basically adapting a JSON file, defining the properties of the control, the visual properties of the controls. And you can also control how the objects are rendered under various states, enabled, focused, pressed, disabled, etc. Step two, we will see a couple examples to modernize existing object. And for that, we will use this control library called Ultimate Suite that I mentioned. Number one, we will see how to change the aspect of your message box to make them look like what you could find in a Windows 10 environment. And number two, we will change the aspect of your model windows, again, to give them a more recent look. Step three, we will show you how to convert your PowerBuilder menu, the traditional PB menu that you've been maintaining for a long time, to convert it automatically, dynamically into a ribbon. This ribbon is generated from the menu, which means that you immediately get this ribbon with all the existing menu items and all the existing logic, PowerScript logic coded in the menu itself and the menu events. You will keep maintaining your classic PB menu as usual, and all the changes will be automatically reflected in the ribbon menu. Of course, on top of that, you will be able to specify additional features, like you said, you can choose small and large icons. You can define groups, drop-down list box, etc. So those are additional settings, additional properties. Brad will show you how to define them inside of your PB menu itself. And very important, as I mentioned briefly, you do not change or impact your business logic. You reuse it entirely as is, because basically you keep using your PB menu. You just add an additional presentation layer on top of it. And the same goes for the security logic that is controlling the menu and the access to certain application feature. It entirely remains unchanged. You do not have to reinvent it as if you would create a new ribbon from scratch. Number four, we'll see how to add some new controls to keep innovating or evolving the UI of your application without disturbing its behavior. So on top of whatever is existing in your application, we'll show you how to add some notification that pop up when particular events are triggered in your application. Number two, we'll show you how to use an example of control. It's called PowerCard control to improve the aspect of some windows. Okay, time to do the real thing. So now I will hand the microphone over to Brad, who will show you how this is working. Brad, please go ahead.
Thank you, Christoph. In this webcast, I'm going to demonstrate a few easy modifications you can make to your application that will have a great effect on your UI. So to start, let's take a look at a sample PowerBuilder application that could mimic a real-life sample. After we log in, we're presented with an MDI window, and in this MDI window, we can open up sheets. In this case, we're going to display a pop-up to retrieve an employee. And then from there, we'll view the employee in a sheet. So what we saw here was the sheet displaying, the menu changing, the toolbar changing. Now the first thing we're going to do to make this look better is implement the built-in PowerBuilder theme. In the latest versions of PowerBuilder, Appeon has supported system or application-wide themes that we could set in the application object. So by making or by picking one, we can have an immediate and application-wide effect on our UI. So first we'll go take a look to see how that is done. So from here we'll open up our application object. We'll go to additional properties and select themes. And in this case we're going to pick the blue theme. Click OK and save our application object. Now we'll run the application again, and right away we see immediate changes. We'll bring up an employee. So this theme, we have white windows, blue buttons, other changes in our data window. Our tabs are styled. Everything looks starting to look good. So the PowerBuilder themes bring us a lot of the way there, but not all the way. So using Ultimate Suite for PowerBuilder, we're going to improve this a little bit more. So now if we go back to our application, the first thing we're going to do is add the Ultimate Suite libraries to our application. Depending on your edition, you may have the source code, which would be in Pibble format, or you may have the PBDs. Now if we take a look at each one, we'll see that the base PBL, which everyone will get regardless of edition, has a set of base objects that you can use so that you can inject Ultimate Suite controls into your frameworks. Next, we have a list of all our controls that are available for use within your application, and then some supporting objects, and finally a list of all the themes that we support within Ultimate Suite. In this demonstration, we're going to implement Power Message, which is a message box replacement, and Power Modal, which allows us to turn any window into a modal window. We give the window a shaded overlay, which gives everything a more professional, up-to-date appearance. The first thing we're going to do is declare two global variables. Now the reason why we're using global variables here is because it makes it easier for us to use these objects later on. We're declaring two variables here, one for power message, which comes from nCST power message, and one for power modal, which comes from nCST power modal. Both of these objects are found in that control PBL that we talked about earlier. We'll save that. The next thing we need to do is implement the actual control. So in our frame window, we'll open it up and we'll go to the open event. In order to make the overlay display, we need to register a parent window with these two objects. And in this case, we're going to register the main frame window as the parent window. We'll do that in the open event. And we simply call the register function. Now while we're here, we can set the theme for each of the objects and the global theme that we're going to use for all objects that we use within the Ultimate Suite library. So you can see we're getting the theme that we have set within PowerBuilder. We're going to evaluate what that theme is, and then we're going to apply our own. The last thing we need to do is deactivate the global theme for Ultimate Suite, which we'll do in the close event. And we do it with this piece of code here. Now that Power Message and Power Modal are set up, we need to actually use them. Now in a lot of our applications, we have message boxes everywhere. So having to change each one could be time consuming. So instead of doing that, what we're going to use is a global function which overrides the message box function. This function has already been written, and it will be given as a part of this this webcast. So what we'll do is we'll do an import, and we'll pick this message box function here. If we take a look at it, we'll see that we're just declaring function signatures that look exactly like the built-in PowerBuilder function for message box, but instead we're calling the message box function within PowerMessage. For Power Modal, within this sample application, everything happens to be filtered through this fopen function already. So we're just going to use this. We'll comment out this line here, and we'll call the open modal function within our Power Modal global variable. So now that we've done this and we've added the global function for the message box override, we need to do a rebuild to make sure everything works properly. Now that this is done, we'll run the application and see what it looks like. So when we open up the pop-up for the employee search, we should see the effect of our modal object. And you can see the outlining faded. So here we'll pick an employee. We'll make a change so that we can trigger a message box. And there's Power Message, a Windows 10 styled message box that's going to be used everywhere within our application now, thanks to that global function override of the message box function. Now the next thing we're going to do is change our menu and toolbars to use a ribbon style menu instead. Doing this will add another dramatic update to our UI. We'll go back to the application and take a look at the changes that we need to make in order to get our ribbon menu to display. So the Ultimate Suite ribbon is all based off of a window object. And in order to use it in our application, we need to inject it between this PFC framework we're using and our application. So the first thing we're going to do is take a look at the base object for our ribbon. And in here, we're going to change the ribbon base to inherit from W frame. Next, we'll take a look at our frame window and change the ancestor for that window to be our ribbon window object. That object is called W ribbon window. We'll take a look at the error. Okay, there's no underscore after ribbon, sorry. After we do this, we need to do a full build of our application. After the full build is done, we need to open up our frame window, make a change, and click Save. Doing this will cause PowerBuilder to create references to our base objects into this frame window. We'll make a slight change, click Save. Now while we're in here, there are a couple other things we need to do. First, if the toolbar visible property is checked, we need to uncheck it, which is not here, so it's good. And the next, because we are adding objects to our frame window, we are now responsible for resizing and moving our MDI client area. Normally PowerBuilder does this for us, but because we're putting our own controls on here, we are now responsible for that. So in the resize event, we'll add a couple lines of code. So here we move the MDI client within our workspace X and Y positions, and we resize it to match our workspace width and height. So we'll save, and then we'll go do something to our sheet window now. And in here, we need to make sure that the toolbar visible property is off as well. And our sheets have their own sheet menus. So in order to get the sheet menu to display when it becomes active, we need to rebuild our ribbon. So to do that, in the activate event, we'll add a call to rebuild our ribbon based on the menu for the sheet. And in the closed event, we'll set the ribbon to display the menu for the frame. Now as far as initial setup is concerned, that's pretty much it. So if we were to run this, we should see a ribbon display. It won't look the greatest because we need to make sure we use proper images, and we need to move our menu items into specific groups. But those are all just settings within our menu that we'll set, and I'll show you that next. But first we'll run the application to see what it looks like. So here we have the contents of our main frame menu. If we open up our employee again, we'll see that our ribbon changes based on the menu that we're using for our sheet. And if we close it, it goes back. So now we have to add some better styling to our ribbon to make it look better. Now all of this is controlled directly within the menu itself. So if we open up the frame menu, we'll take a look, and we'll just add images and some attributes to the menu's tag property to make it display a certain way. So in the new menu, we'll set a toolbar item name to be new PNG. And in the tag, we'll set the size to be large. We'll separate each setting with the semicolon, and we'll put it in a group called file. Now we'll copy this because we'll use it for the open menu as well. And the toolbar image that we'll use for that is open.png. We'll update the image for our exit button. Instead of using the built-in PowerBuilder image, we're going to use a new one. called exit.png. And the reason why we're using a new one is because we want to display this as a large icon, and the built-in PowerBuilder icons don't scale properly for large icons. So the size on here will be large, and the group we're going to put it in is exit. Now we have all these recent items, and all we're going to do is put that into a group of its own. We won't worry about icons for these right now. Now in the help menu, make sure this is visible, and we're going to make this large as well, and we're going to give it an image. And the same thing for our about. Now we'll open up our sheet menu and make similar changes. So we'll create a new group for these. It's called Sheet. And we'll give this one an icon. Sorry, on the properties, we'll give it an icon. And page setup, we missed it, we'll give it an icon as well. All right, now if we run this, we should see some pretty significant changes in our ribbon. We'll open up an employee. There, everything is looking pretty good. So just by changing how we inherit our frame window, adding a couple attributes to our menu, we've given ourselves a fully functional ribbon. The clicked event of each of these ribbon items will trigger the clicked event of our menu items, so there's no recoding that's necessary. Now the next thing we're going to do is try to make this window look a little bit better. In the next release of Ultimate Suite, there could be a series of new controls added. One of them is a card. And in that card, we can display an image, and we can display a header and a description. So what we're going to do is we're going to use it to display a personnel photo. We'll open up the sheet that's used for the employee. We'll make the screen a little bit wider. Move these over, and we'll add a new control. We're going to look for the power card function. We'll give it a certain size and change its location a little bit. Oops. And this will move, that's probably pretty good. We'll adjust the Y a little bit, or the X position, sorry. I'll move that here. And we'll line these two up. And click Save. So we'll click back on our card. We'll give it a name. And in the PFC post open event, we'll set some information within that card. Actually, we gotta check to make sure we're using the right object here. And we'll go to the PFC post open. So in here, if our master data window has a row in it, we're going to get the employee ID, and from there we're going to select a blob, which will be our profile picture from our employee table, and then we're going to call OF initialize card to display the picture, the name of the employee, and nothing for the description. And because we're not displaying anything for the description, we don't need a lot of extra room for the text that we'll display here, so we can change the text area height to be 50. Now we'll run it and see what the employee window looks like. So overall, it makes a pretty big improvement to this window. The card control defaults to a button face background. We can see that there's a bit too much gray around here, so we'll change the background color of our card to match the background color of our window, which will be white in this case. Yeah, it looks a lot better. So within this webcast, we've implemented the Ultimate Suite message box control, the modal windows, ribbon, and this new card control, all within a short amount of time. And we can see that the overall look of our application is dramatically different than it was when we first looked at the sample application. We can close all this up. The last control we'll look at is a toast notification control called Power Toast. Its purpose is to display a notification at the bottom of your screen whenever some sort of action were to occur, or whenever you need to notify your users that something has happened. So we're going to set this up the same way we've set up Power Message and Power Modal. We'll start by declaring a global variable. We're using we'll register our frame window the same way we did our other controls. And we're going to call a couple methods to control how the toast displays. This first call determines how long to display the toast message, and this function call will determine how we display the pop-up, the animation effect. Now that it is set up, we need somewhere to call it. So we'll call it in the employee save event to notify the user that the employee saved successfully. We'll go to the PFC save event. We'll grab some code, and we're going to not extend the ancestor script. So we'll call the ancestor PFC save event. If it returns 1, it succeeded, then we'll display a toast message. The employee saved successfully. Now we run this. We'll open up our employee. We'll make a change. We'll hit save. And we can see the notification showing up down here. Now we can personalize this a little bit more by adding an image, and you can add any image you want. You can add a file, or you can add an image from a blob. So what we'll do is we'll pass in our profile picture image, which we were already retrieving, and pass that to the Power Toast control to display the employee image in there as well. So if we go back to the, I believe it was the PFC post open event. Okay, here we're retrieving the employee profile picture. We'll move this blob to be an instance variable. And then we'll go back to our save event. We'll pass the blob as the third parameter, the image parameter. We'll save that and run. Open up our employee again. We'll make a change and save. So now we have our employee profile picture in the Toast pop-up, which makes it a lot more personalized. And this concludes the demo.
Thank you, Brad. Okay, so yeah, coming back to the initial topic of this presentation, maximum effect for minimum effort, it's interesting to see how much improvement you can bring in just about 20 minutes or so. Of course, that may not be the end of it. You may want to keep improving and evolving your UI, but you'll see how far you can go already in just 20 minutes. Okay, a few more words about Ultimate Suite that Brad has been using on top of PowerBuilder. Number one, you can combine, of course, easily both PowerBuilder control and Ultimate Suite control. Both of them are relying on the concept of themes, and Ultimate Suite themes are aligned with the PowerBuilder ones. So if you choose a particular theme for PowerBuilder, you just choose the same for Ultimate Suite, and you get a consistent UI, and all the control will have the same look and feel, presentation, detail, behavior, etc. Number two, what's included in the box in case you want to try Ultimate Suite. So you have a number of UI controls, some of them that we saw today. You also have a library of charts, animated charts with various possibilities. You can see that on the website if you like. Gauges, you have some free open source icon libraries, and you have some tools for customizing the chart and the control. Instead of writing code, you would just select properties, and this will configure automatically the control of the chart with the proper presentation and behavior, pretty much like a PowerBuilder painter. If you want to find more about PowerBuilder and the PowerBuilder themes, of course, you can get lots of resources out there that you probably know. If you want to find more about Ultimate Suite, you can check out the website here where you will find all the component inside. The tools are here. The free icons are there. For each control, you can get more details to see what it looks like and some key properties. And if you download a copy, then it comes with guides and tutorial to take you by the hand and implement them in your application. Good. I guess I just have to thank you for all for joining this presentation today, and let us know if you have questions. We'll be around to answer them. Thanks again for your time today. Bye-bye.